Hi, students of the Civil War. Welcome to week 5. I hope the past 4 weeks have been enjoyable. And if they haven't been enjoyable, I hope they've at least been interesting and you've learned something. Week 5, the war has begun. And I hope that over the past couple weeks, you've sort of understood why we had to spend so much time in talking about the causes. Because to talk about war without talking about the causes really makes no sense. Because to understand even the simplest thing, like the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats at this time and the origins of the two parties, it will help you to understand better why the war is being fought and the sides that people took during the war. But then to understand in the next chapter about how Southerners will be asked to decide, will they stay loyal to America or will they join with this new Confederacy? And as we see in many cases, many Southern generals will decide to defect to the Confederacy. But many Southern generals, West Point graduates, will stay with the Union, regardless of their affiliation to their state. So it's a very trying time for Southerners. Do they ally with their state, or do they go with their country? And that's really the big idea about this week. What happens in these upper Southern states that are not as much slave-focused, but still have an alliance to Southern states because they're majority Democrat states and they do believe in states' rights. So where will these states decide to go? So this is the first chapter, the Upper South. The second thing that we're going to look at in the next couple pages of your reading have to do with mobilization for war. And how are the South and North going to independently mobilize for war? And if you would have checked the assignment tab, I've already posted your second essay, which is specifically that topic. How did the two sides mobilize for war? So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be looking at the development of the South and the North in this war, and how the South and the North are going to have to make very specific decisions as to what battles they fight in, how many supplies they buy, using the supplies that they have, and they're going to have to decide who's going to be leading the armies. So one of the biggest themes of the next week is about how the Civil War is not necessarily a military strategy war. It's a political war, where in some cases Lincoln will choose the best leaders to strategically lead his army, while in other cases some generals will be appointed because of their political power. And the same thing will happen in the South. So the question to have on your mind this week is, does it make sense for politicians to guide war? There's a famous quote from World War I that war should be left in the hands of politicians because military men, they're too brutal. They don't really understand the concept of how wars should be won and lost. So I hope you enjoy this week. It's going to be a change from talking about politics, but as I said, the war is very political. So keep this in mind as you're reading. By next week, we'll have entered the first major war, the Battle of Bull Run, or the Battle of Manassas, for those of you who are from the South. And we'll be getting into more of the battle plans and some of the things that many of you have maybe been waiting for in the class. If you have not submitted to me your paper yet, which was due at midnight on Sunday, please just send me a quick email letting me know when it's going to come in, and realize that if it doesn't come in by the end of the week, unfortunately, I can't accept it anymore. That's my deadline policy, and it loses 5 points per day that it's late. So keep that in mind, that if you are still planning on writing it, that you get it to me as soon as possible so I can give you the maximum score for the work you put in. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the reading this week. A lot of great illustrations in that illustrated Battle Cry of Freedom. So really pay close attention to a lot of the captions, which I don't know if you've been looking at the captions, but the captions give you a really an insight that the book doesn't really even get into, about some side stories that I think are pretty interesting. So as for now, do the reading. You'll have some YouTube clips again to watch, some lectures and some notes, and I look forward to hearing from you in your discussion boards. Until next week, I will see you then.